Vic here for Short Axe. I wanted to talk briefly about Hoophouses. And this kind of came out of the last NNPG net that we did last week, which would have been the last week of September. NNPG, the Northern Nevada Preppers Group, we do a net every week. It's run by either Ken or Glenda. They handle the net really well. They usually do it, and we handle a topic, and there's talking back and forth, and sometimes we'll have, someone on talking about a different topic. But the net is actually picked up worldwide. It's posted on our NNPG site, which is nnpg.net, N-E-T. So if you guys want to go there, you can actually look for it. You can find past episodes, or you can find the frequency and tune in. What I wanted to talk about was last time we had a topic, and it was Hoophouses. And I was asked to kind of come on and talk a little bit about what we are doing here with Hoophouses, and then see who else is doing something, and let's just have a conversation, ask some questions, and so forth. It turned out to be a lot of questions, which was really nice. One of the topics that came up, and this is pretty much local to our area that I know of, in that I was involved in changing the law, but it may be happening where you are. So think about it. Check your county regulations and see if you've got anything that might stand in your way. What happened was we were talking about size of hoop houses and where you could put them and so on. And we kind of came back to the Washoe County, which is our county here in Reno. And it came back to the county regulations and the building code. And what the Washoe County Board or Building Code has is they have Article 100.102. And what that used to say was it used to limit you to, I think, 200 square feet and I think no more than 8 feet in height, something like that. And when we were starting up Sage Ridge Farms, one of the things that stuck to me was I don't want to invest a bunch of money in hoops and then have the county come in and put the kibosh on it, or here we get into a big legal argument, and it cost me thousands of dollars to deal with it. That did happen to a friend who's farming, and he's a little farther north in the valley, but he had a turd of a neighbor, and I turned him in for anything and everything, and he ended up having to get lawyers involved and so on, and kind of fight everything. He eventually won, but it was a long fight. So I didn't want to go there. So I contacted one of our new council people, and that was Jean Herman, and she's a local rancher. So she really understands kind of us up here really, really well. So I talked to her about it, and she had no idea this was even written this way. And the question I always had was, why does the building department have anything to do with a hoop house? A hoop house is an agricultural tool that goes over a crop. So she invited me to come down. So what I did was I put together a presentation, went to the Board of Supervisors, and this is actually the notice or the agenda from that meeting. And it was on February 24th, 2015. And I actually met with them twice, but this was the one time that I made the big presentation. The other time was to kind of kick them in the ass and say, why hasn't this changed yet? So I went before him and I explained what hoop houses were and what they were doing. The interesting thing was 2 of the people on the board were just getting ready to buy a hoop house and put it in their yard. And what they didn't realize is you could only go 200 square feet. Well, that's 10 by 20. That's really small when you think about it. I mean, you might have a few tomato plants in there and maybe some peppers, but that's about it. But if you really want a garden, especially if you want a farm, you can't even do it on that scale. So they were pretty taken back, and then they were all ears, and everybody was like, yeah, this is wrong. So I went through the whole thing, and now what's happened is that through all of that information, they got busy, kind of. It only took a while to change the law. I think 14 months to be exact. But we have it changed. And what they came out with is Section 100.102 has been amended to the following. They are now 100.2.7, they're exempt. So they're exempt from all building codes. And this applies to hoop houses and high tunnels. And I have the document right here. And this is Bill 1772, Ordinance number 1589, as amended by the Washoe County Board of Supervisors. That was one hurdle. So we had to get by the county, the code. The other one we had to deal with was the developmental code, which really talks about what your property, how it's zoned, and what you're able to do, what your setbacks are, what your heights are, so on and so forth. Where I am, I have one setback, it's on the front, and it does limit my fence, which I still don't understand, but I didn't bother fighting it because I was just going to put the damn thing up and somebody would have to complain to be a problem. But it does limit me a little bit. Now, when it comes to hoop houses, this had to get changed because the code still had this height problem and the size problem. So what they did was they also got the developmental code. They've got that changed as well. And that was Bill 1771 and Ordinance 1587. And that was April 26, 2016. Yep. Same date on both of these. And I started on February 24th, 2015. So 14 months. Oh well. But now what the code says is following your setback. So if your setback is, say, 12 feet from your front porch or your front yard, as they call it. Anyway, if that setback, if you're in that setback area, I think you're limited to like 9 feet. Once you get out of that, 35 feet. So we had it changed so now it actually applies more to every other thing. And it doesn't limit it. You know, the county's whole thought here was, oh, it's a house. Somebody must be living in it. And I tell you what, if you have a hoop house, you know you're not going to live in the damn thing. Come on. Anyway, so it did get changed. I will put all three of these pieces up on the website, shortaxe.com. It'll be over in documents or resources, and I'll probably put it under government. But look through and it'll be there, and you can grab these if you need information. But in Washoe County, you're okay now. But check your county's regulations because sometimes they just don't want to let control of stuff. And so you end up with these antiquated, these blue laws that they're not going to enforce unless somebody complains, but they want the power to do something. Well, I don't think it's any of their damn business what you do with your ag. It's growing food. I mean, they just don't get how basic growing food is. And if you're preparing, if you're a prepper, if you're a survivalist, if you're whatever, if you're just a homesteader, not just a homesteader, it makes no difference to the government what you do on your property. That's my feeling. So that's that. And I'll post these up. The other questions were, one of them was roll up sides or roll down sides. And I have conventional hoops, so they are half a circle. Those do not have roll up or roll down sides. If you want those, what you need to do is you need to buy more of a Gothic style. So what it will do is it will have straight side walls, and then it will have the hoop at the top. And that's considered a Gothic style. Those can get made with roll down or roll up sides. The nice thing is that you can get airflow across it. You can get, well, heat rises, so heat doesn't come out as much, but you can get airflow across there. And that's kind of nice to do. I didn't do it because it adds a significant amount of cost to a hoop. I mean, every mod that you make is going to cost more money. You know, I did mine for, I think, around $1,800 for the whole thing. And it was 16 feet wide and 48 feet long. Came in a kit with the poly, but I still had to build the gable ends. But you're going to have to do that with any hoop house that you buy. Gable ends are going to be your responsibility. I think you can buy pre-made, but I wouldn't do it. I'd just figure out how to make them. I mean, you can look at ours. I've got videos when I had them roughly framed and not covered that you can look at. And if you need more information, let me know. But the only thing I thought about doing was roll down. And mostly because we have ground critters, rabbits, things like that. if I roll them down a little bit, I can get some cross ventilation on the crop, and still I can keep the rabbits from jumping in. But what I chose to do was on gable ends. On the back end, I have large 2-foot square openings, one on each side. And then on the front, I put in 2 doors, and they are Dutch doors. So I can open the top if I just want to open the top and the critters can't go through because the bottom's shut. And so I opted to do that. So I just didn't like the extra cost and the extra thing that can go wrong. I try to keep everything as simple as possible. And just the hoops we have work quite well. I mean, they're season starters and season extenders. So the other question was, there was a question about bugs. I mean, how do you get bugs in there? How do you do you get pollination, so on and so forth? The thing about a hoop house, and you'll see it coming up because I'm gonna take you in one of the hoops and we'll walk in. It's the one that we have that's active at the moment, and it will one that's gonna get the winter garden coming up in 2 days. We're gonna take everything out that's there, process it, especially all the peppers and such, and then we'll put in our fall crop or winter crop, and we've still got time. The hoop holds so much heat that even when it's 30 outside, it's going to stay 50, and the soil is even going to be warmer than that. So we'll see. We just got it involved, and we're going to get it planted here in a couple of days, and then I'll get you some video when we see some things come up in a couple of weeks. So bugs get in. Hoop houses are not sealed. They just slow down the wind and they magnify the sun. Wind here is a big thing, but I can go in there and there's bees around. I've got ladybugs crawling on me. I mean, it's all set. So you're going to get a lot of bugs in there. Don't even sweat it. Don't worry about it. And during the day, especially during the summer, you're going to open those doors. You're going to have to. It will get so damn hot in there that you'll go in for a few minutes and have to come back out. So I've even had to put a fan in the doorway. I've got a big 3-foot fan I put in the doorway and plug in so I can draft more air through there and help try to cool it off a little more. But during the summertime, it gets pretty hot. I have some modifications, and I'll go through them a little bit on the video of what I would do differently than I do now. And Ken with our group was actually nice enough to get me some poly sheets, which I was going to use on the front door. I've still got 2 set aside. I just never got around to getting them on the doors. But the doors would be a nice place to have that, and I think on gable ends to do that and just use the poly on the top and the sides. And then seasonally take that poly off and throw shade cloth on it and just run shade cloth through the hot part of the summer. You'll get more heat dissipation. You'll still get great shade for the plants. And I think it'd work real well. I definitely would like to try and do it. So when this poly wears out, I might go ahead and put the wiggle wire track on top and just put it across the top and on the sides, just like you're saying, one piece. So we'll see. That might be something mod that I might end up doing. So those are the only things I really wanted to go over just on this sit down. And just give me a second. I'll reset the camera and we'll go inside the hoop and take a look around, and you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. All right? So hang on. We'll be right back. I'm going to show you the hoops. Now, this is currently how they're formatted, and we talked about several things. So these are my Dutch doors. As you can see, I can either open the bottom or I can open this top section here with that latch. So if it's not particularly hot, I can leave the bottoms and just pop the tops open, and then I have them set so that I can hook them off right here and open the bottoms and close the tops or whatever I want to do. Now, this is currently how they're configured. This is the one we just had a little farm meeting this morning, and we have decided that this is the hoop that's going to get cleaned out. The tomatoes are pretty much done. I have cut them back quite a bit, which I normally do. I don't know if you prune your tomatoes back, but if you do, you'll kind of turn their attitude from producing leaves and more stalks into finishing fruit. And so that's what I've done. We're probably going to harvest what we've got here because I want to get the winter crop in. We got a lot of things to do here this year, and I want to get those done. These are step inside. Now I'm going to show you a couple things. This is a little heating unit that I've used, and I'll show you. If you take a look down here, you see this post, and you'll see there's one every so often on the main bed. Those have, and I'll take you outside and show you, and they're stacked over here. Those PVC hoops, those are 10-foot sections of, I think, 3/4 inch PVC, and they fit inside that 1-inch EMT sleeve. They create a hoop which will go over, and then what I have done is I use different shade cloths or a different fabric over the top, and you can get them in different gradients. You can get them in a very light to a very heavy, and it will help you gain zone or zones depending on what you use. Now, what I have done, taken this little heater, again, hoop houses and high tunnels are not typically heated. Greenhouses are. That is the main difference, and that's why the code was changed to not cover hoop houses or high tunnels anymore. There's nothing to inspect. So what I do is I will set that heater right at the end, right over here. My shade cloth is over the top, and I close it off on the bottom. I can actually put a little bit of heat in there, which will circulate, because that fan has a little fan in it, and it will circulate in there. I can set the temperature on the heater, and now I've got a great place to put plants. I could put them in here in February. Put my heavy row cover on, put a little heater in here, and I could do all my starter plants in these beds and then dig them up and transplant them to where I want them, just like you would to upsize them into a 4-inch pot or a 6-inch pot from a starter. So a lot of possibilities with a hoop. So we're going to clean this one out. This is also my fan. In the summertime when it's really hot, this is definitely what I would do. I'll set it in the doorway right here next to me and turn it on and help bring more air across. But like I said, one of the things that I would have done differently when I built these is that this top edge right here, right on the bottom, this is what they call wiggle wire. The wiggle wire's in here, and this is the track for wiggle wire. Let me show you a piece. It's a piece I have left over. So, wiggle wire track, wiggle wire. This wiggle wire actually fits inside the track all the way down. And you literally wiggle it back and forth as you put it in. So you bring your plastic over the top, your wiggle wire goes on top of the plastic, threads in here. And that's what really traps it to the bottom. That's what does this. This is a little different material, so let me get over here. This stuff right here. That's what it does. What I would do is I would put this track all along this top edge, all the way up here, and from one side of the hoop all the way to the other side. I would pull the plastic along here tight, wiggle wire it in. Now there would be no plastic on the ends, and this is where I'd put the polymer sheeting. I think it's much better. It has a much better longevity, but also what it allows me to do, excuse me, is during the summer when it's super hot, I can take this plastic off. I can put shade cloth over the top, and now I have a shade cloth structure which will also prevent it from intermittent hailstorm or rainstorm or whatever. The ends are still protected from the wind, and the shade cloth does enough to knock the wind down that it doesn't hurt the plants. And wind's another thing we got to deal with here. So that's definitely what I would do, or I will do as soon as this plastic is gone. I want to get as much as I can out of it. Once it's done, then that's it. We're going to put that right over the top and put it on differently. Now I'll show you one thing. We're talking about some little holes. Here's one I haven't patched yet. Little one got in there, and I know that's a snow shovel, just like these are snow shovel marks. This is tape. It's specifically designed for hoop houses. It's actually stronger than the plastic. This stuff is absolutely amazing, and it sticks like crazy. And that's what I use when I have to patch it. And those, I can tell you, are snow shovels. We had snow 10 inches thick probably 10 inches deep on the sides and the top of these hoops last year. We had so much snow. So here's the other end. Now, you can see kind of how the plastic gets gathered. Well, again, if I had the wiggle wire on the top and this was all polymer, this would never happen. A lot neater, a lot cleaner, and still does the job. So here are my vents. If I thought something was getting through here, like large enough, like a mammal, like a rabbit, I can just put screen over the top of this and I'm done. That will prevent that. I haven't had that be an issue, so that said, there's no screen. So I'll show you real quick what we got here. So this side is all, this is all my jalapenos. Yeah, this is all jalapenos here. So these guys are pretty much done. I've actually got some starting to go red on me. So they're finished. And I'm going to clean all these out, harvest everything, including the bells, because they all go in the dehydrator. And that'll be done. We'll harvest whatever tomatoes we've got that are ripe or close to, and we're going to pull these out, clean the bed. Then we'll add fertilizer. This is generally what we use, Dr. Earth. And this is a 463. 463, and it works out really well. So we'll toss that in here, probably just turn it over really lightly and then plant out these. What this will do also is allow us to turn the irrigation back to just this hoop. Because I have them isolated, I can just turn this hoop on and I'm done. Everything else will get shut off here just, well, today. So here's, oh, this stuff is just amazing. This is lemon balm. And it smells so good. This thing I cut so far back. I mean, I literally cut it clear back to the nubbins. And we'll get another cutting off it. So we're going to leave that in. This will come out, and these other two peppers will come out. These are Anaheims, or I think it's Corona de Toro, similar to an Anaheim. But you can see their season's pretty much done. So we'll pull those guys out and get this one planted. And maybe I'll show you a little blurb here shortly, in a little bit when it starts coming in. This will be our winter crop. Now, those of you who kind of asked on that net the other night about bugs, let me come down here. And there's just a huge variety of bugs. I don't know if you can hear them, but there's bees in here as well. And I just opened the door. Like, there's one right there. He's just hanging up on that ledge. There's bees all over this thing. There's all kinds of stuff in here. So as far as getting pollinators, no problemo. So anyway, just wanted to show you that stuff, give you an idea of what we're doing here, and try and explain a little bit more about what this hoop looks like and how it actually produces. So right now we're going to get over and get ready for the winter crop and get it in. It's extremely warm in here, and I've got one door open. Looks like we're just about pushing almost 80 degrees right now in this one. And I wonder about the other one's going to be a little warmer. I'll show you that one. That's this was our bean hut this year. We only did beans. See, we've started cleaning everything out. This was completely vined off up here, both sides, and we did bush beans on the short beds. So the bush beans are gone. This will get cleaned up and ready for the crop. But tell you what, this one won't be used until next spring. So this one, the irrigation will get shut down. We'll clean it up, close it up, and that'll be it till next year. So good thing I put these little poles on here. I didn't have these on here at first. You learn really fast. It's a real pain in the butt to get locked in here. So happens to everybody. All right, guys, I'm going to run, but give you one last thought. Great pumpkins. We got 3 really nice ones, and those are in the outside bed. Those are all cleaned off now. So we will see you guys later, and hope you enjoyed and are informed by what we just presented. So take care. See ya.